global environment and to support the creation of a high-level United Nations Sustainable Development Commission headed by an Undersecretary General. Third and lastly, the President is urged to report to Congress on the progress made on with this action.
She wasn't ugly on the outside yet.
Was she sleeping in her coffin?
So here's the recap. Our Common Future in 1987, the Rio Accord in 1992, which dear Pelosi brought over. 1995, President Clinton signed Executive Order 12858 that mandated federal agencies align their policies in concurrence with Agenda 21. And they did it. After 75 years, they met in 2015. Every year for 75 years they met. And they developed Agenda 2030, which is shorter. If you're going to read one or the other, read Agenda 2030. It has it all there. It's just not the 230-some pages that Agenda 21 is, which is short for these days. Compassionate sounding terms like population stabilization, sustainable development. Remember the communist language where they said to use things that sound good? Simply mask for the true purpose of this UN plan. World domination of your life and liberty. An insidious plot to control any and all parts of existence. Lies. They don't care. Attacks on the citizens began immediately. Things like the BLM, the EPA, all of the different things that we've become so horribly familiar with, leading to many illegal and unconstitutional actions that are still ongoing and spreading. Severe and harsh set of actions were set forward, intended for every person on earth, specific changes for all people. I know this is a lot of details, and I appreciate you guys putting up with it. But it's important. It is so important. From the Earth Press in 1993, individual rights will have to take a backseat to the collective. The American director of ICLEI, the Local Governments for Sustainability. He's setting the rules. Did we elect him? No. Promoted to the public as salvation for our future. Sweet, sweet lies. Maurice Strong, Secretary General of 1992 Earth Summit. Remember, I told you everyone has been a communist. Current lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class involving high meat intake, use of fossil fuels, appliances, home and work air conditioning, and suburban housing are not sustainable. They're saying it outright now. That's where it came from. Land, private property, water, other resources. People are included as a resource in the definition. We are not individuals. We are not God's people. We are resources. Energy supplies, food production, our very lives and deaths. Claims to be all happy, feely, smiling faces, how we care. The truth is that Agenda 21 is a vicious, brutal, heartless strategy to impose a global Orwellian state. That happy face, when you look at it, it really changes. Take off the mask. They want to control every man, woman, and child on the planet, every resource, everything we have. Global structure, fascist control, right down into every local community. They were smart enough to say that we need this at every local community. Our cities, our towns, make it strong there, and then build up so that it finally moves up to our higher government. That's where they put it. With the tyrants and the bullies everywhere. We've got a lot of tyrants and bullies locally. This is the reason there is so much massive emphasis on local authorities, town and city authorities in Agenda 21 2030. They know where to start. They know it has impact. This is another comparison. Our Constitution against Agenda 21. I'll just call it 21. Our greatest concern is freedom from tyranny. Theirs is global warming and social equity. Everybody the same except the elites. Vision. We want to protect life, liberty, property. They want to protect the environment, economy, equality, equity. Not equality, equity. Everything the same. The government, we think, is to protect unalienable rights given by God. Theirs is governments act as God. Legislature, we want to protect human rights. They want to protect the earth from us. And this is only a very small sample. Reduce 95% of the world population is their goal. Let me repeat. Reduce the Earth's population by 95%. The future will be about finding a way to reduce the population. You can see here, this, our current society. Most of those killed, and the ones that aren't, are in this tiny little Pack-em and Stack-em community under total control. Culling the herd. I'm using this as one of the examples of the population because it's something that strikes my heart and strikes us all. We start with the old because as soon as they exceed 60 to 65 years, people live longer than they produce. And that costs society dearly. So get rid of us. Then the weak, the useless, that do not help society because there will always be more of them. Above all, ultimately, the stupid, which is all the rest of us, if we aren't in one of those others. Euthanasia, targeting these groups. It'll have to be an essential tool in the future. In all cases. Soylent Green, anyone? Mm-hmm. Agenda 21 by Bill O'Reilly, anyone? Hitler said, make the lie big, make it simple, keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it. Of course, we will not be able to execute people or build camps. We get rid of them by making them believe it's for their own good.
Off to the ovens. Our showers.
So let's see if we understand this correctly. A plan of action, got it. To be taken globally, okay, everyone has to participate. In every area which human impacts the environment, I don't know any area where we don't. Yep, that covers everyone, everything in the entire world. Warm, fuzzy way to take over the world. Group hug, anyone? We stop. Remove outside organizations and stakeholder groups. Stop the creation of non-elected regional government councils. Stop local government from taking state and federal grants. Those come with the threads, the strings that make them behave that way. We give the government money, they give us 15% back, and a little bit more with these big threads, with these big stipulations. Why? Cancel membership in INCLE and reverse the Agenda 21 initiative. So who holds the true evil power? The UN. One world order, communist created, communist controlled. Robert Powell said, the plain truth is that the United Nations has been designed to be a communistic world government from its very beginning. We pulled out for a while, and we're right back in the thick of it.
That's right.
Why should we care? Every level of government. Grants that lure them in, pleasant-sounding names that camouflage reality. Top-down, centralized. Public acceptance is lured in by pushing the programs as environmentally friendly, envisioning consensus-building workshops used to get public buy-in with predetermined outcomes. When we go to government meetings, school boards, supervisors, city council, wherever we go, we have that wonderful right. We stand up. We say our words. We feel like we're really making a difference. We bring in lots of people. They use our free speech against us. We feel good. We leave, they do what they want. Our right to free speech is used against us daily. We have to do more.
J. Edgar Hoover said, "The communist threat from without must not blind us to the communist threat from within. The latter is reaching into the very heart of America through its espionage agents and a cunning, defiant, and lawless Communist Party, which is fanatically dedicated to the Marxist cause of world enslavement and destruction of the foundations of our republic."
Compare philosophies. Purpose of government to us: protect the natural, unalienable rights of each individual. 21, control the individual for the greater good of the global community. In short, we think you're born with rights. Government exists to protect those rights. They think government grants, restricts, or withdraws your rights according to its needs. You see that everywhere. Our Fifth Amendment in our Bill of Rights, man's rights are inherent to his nature as a man. As such, they are inalienable. 21, Article 17, Section 2, man's rights are granted by other men. As such, they can be taken away by men. Do you understand the philosophy that's driving our world?
Yeah.
I've looked at this map again and again and again, and it took me a while to really begin to understand it. Those red areas in here, those are no-go zones. We have no access according to their plan. We can't ever get in there. The yellow, some restricted access, mostly by the elites, because it will be lovely. How much green do you see in this map? It's there, someplace. Oh, there's a little, there's a little, there's a little. That's us.
LA.
No, not in LA. The green areas are the only places we can be. Everything else is forbidden, except for
Animals.
tribal lands. The pink are tribal lands. They've made an agreement. The leaders, not the individuals, but the leaders have made an agreement.
How long will they last?
As long as we allow it. So here's our map. So apparently half of the land in California belongs to the government. They've stolen it, bought it, regulated it, all different ways. They own it. So now, look at that and look at the wildfire map. Now look at the overlay. And we wonder why we have wildfires and drought. That's their plan. There's so much more. Take time to read it, look at it. I know it's difficult language sometimes, but my goodness, it opens your heart.
Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
Tonight allows people a release for all the hatred and violence that they keep up inside them.
This won't bring him back. It won't make you feel any better. Thank you.
It is a night that is defining our country.
Citizens, this will be a tradition we celebrate every year.
Summer of Love, anyone? Do you think that was a training ground?
Yep.
For something like this? Violence, rioting, behavior mandates, restricted living, induced poverty, genocide, hidden actions, government control. This is the danger zone. The Purge showed it. We're living it.
Amazingly, in 1914, when future U.S. President Woodrow Wilson was still the president of Princeton University, he declared, "Our aim is to turn out young men as unlike their fathers as possible." He added later, "Young men are embarrassed by having inherited their father's opinions."
1914. I told you it was over a century. To be ashamed of your heritage